Hello, I'm Jordan. I'm going to do a little tag here today. And this is the 1001 Books tag, and it was created by the wonderful MsReads A. And I was kindly tagged by Christina over at Knitting Books, etc. And I'll just jump right in here. The first prompt is 1001 lists. Do you follow any book lists? It can be a prize list or a challenge like the Rory Gilmore challenge. I'm not sure what that is. No, I can't think of any book lists that I follow or prizes. I don't follow contemporary literature really at all, which is kind of a problem, I guess. I mean, not really. I think there's so much stuff that I want to get caught up on before I'm ready to tackle contemporary things, unless it's an author that I really love who is still writing, and there's not many of those. So no, the short answer is no. I don't follow any lists or prizes. Next prompt is 1001 books. Approximately how many physical books do you currently own, and how many ebooks? I did just count my physical books for the first time, and I own, as far as I can tell, exactly 290 books, which is actually lower than I expected, which makes me feel more comfortable with perhaps acquiring more. I've only read about probably half of the books on my shelves, though, so I should probably hold off for a little while. And then as far as ebooks, I didn't count, but I think probably about 100. Generally, my policy with ebooks is for a while there, I was deciding I was only going to buy ebooks from now on, but I did get a new bookshelf recently, so I kind of have more space for physical books. So now my policy is if I can get it for free through like Project Gutenberg, then that's what I do for ebooks. So I probably have about 100 of those. Next is 1001 books read. Approximately how many books have you read in your lifetime? Do you keep track? I have no idea how many books I've read in my lifetime. Probably, honestly, not that many. I'm an extremely slow reader. Although I am constantly reading, it takes me at least a week to read a book, nor an average-sized book, I'd say. But I do keep a list, which I have since 2019, just of the title, the author, and the month that I read it in. But again, that only goes back a few years, so I have no idea what my grand total is. Next is 1001 Arabian Nights. Have you read any stories from the Arabian Nights? Do you have a favorite? If you haven't read it, do you want to? I did read the kind of recent translation by, what is his name? Hussein Hadwi. This is what it looks like. You may have seen it. And it's supposedly a translation of the earliest manuscript we have of the Arabian Nights. It's not all that long. There's certainly not 1001 of them. And I read that a few years ago, and there are some stories that I really liked, and others that I was not at all. It didn't appeal to me at all. I was kind of disappointed with it overall, but that didn't stop me from. I recently found all three of the Penguin. I think there's only three of the Penguin volumes of the Arabian Nights. So I picked those up, and I'm going to dip back into these because there were a lot of stories in that translation that I did like. And my favorite was probably a very humorous story. I don't remember if it had a title, and I don't remember the exact details, but essentially it was this couple that accidentally kills this person, and they panic, and so they decide to put it into someone else's house so that those people will think they accidentally killed the person, and then those people in turn panic and decide to pin it on someone else to make them think they accidentally killed it. And so this dead body moves successively through these various characters, and I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, overall, there were some stories that really are very even moving, and there's a lot of pornography, at least in that translation, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, I'll be dipping in and out of these Penguin volumes for sure. Next is 1001 flavors. Do you have a favorite food or flavor? I couldn't really think of anything. I do have a favorite like kind of food, and I think that would be Thai food, which I absolutely love. I would eat it every day if that was feasible. But as far as a specific food or flavor, nothing's coming to mind. I'm not all that picky, to be honest. I'll eat pretty much anything as long as it meets my dietary requirements. 1001 pages. Have you read a book that is over 1001 pages? Is there one that you recommend is worth the time? And what is the longest book you have read? I have read quite a few books that are over 1001 pages. I gravitate towards longer books, which is good and bad because I also stupidly force myself to finish every single book I start. And there have been a number of very, very long books that I was not enjoying that I still force myself to finish. I think the best book I read this year actually was, I think, over 1,000 pages, or pretty damn close if it wasn't, and that was the Darren Mcculloch's History of Christianity, which I thought was unbelievably good. Something that stuck with me, and will certainly turn out to be my favorite read of this year. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but I do think if you give it a try, you may be surprised at how entertaining it is. I am kind of a newcomer to nonfiction, so I was skeptical, especially since a book that was over 1,000 pages that I read this year was David Abalaffia's The Boundless Sea, which is a massive history of the world's oceans. And that book, though it was good, it was also extremely dry. So that I would not recommend. But The History of Christianity by Darren Mcculloch is fantastic. So I would recommend that to you if you have an interest in the subject and if you're a little seasoned when it comes to nonfiction. And I think the longest book I've ever read was probably War and Peace. I think my edition of that was like 1,200 pages. I don't know, because I got rid of the edition because I'm not a huge fan of War and Peace. So I would not recommend that, although, of course, it has its moments. Moving on. 1001 Buckets. Do you have a non-bookish bucket list? What is one thing on the list? Not really. I mean, the thing I kind of always go to is there are certain places I would like to travel, although I'm not all that into traveling, to be honest. One thing I would really love to do is kind of do like a cathedral tour of Europe and see as many of the cathedrals as I could. That's probably not ever going to happen, but it was something that would be really cool to do, I think. 1001 Numbers. Do you have a lucky number? Is there a story behind it? Not really. When I was a kid, I kind of thought my lucky number was 22. That's, I think, for two reasons. First of all, I was really into the Dallas Cowboys, and Emmitt Smith was my favorite player, and his number was 22, I believe. And then also I was born on the 22nd day of the month, so I just kind of thought, oh, that's a sign. So my answer as a kid would certainly have been 22, but it's not something that I really think about now. And 1001 Authors. Do you have a favorite author and or genre? That's tough. If I had to pick just one, I would go with Shakespeare, but the three that always come to mind are Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, and Virginia Woolf. But I'm going to go with my favorite living writer, and I'm not, like I said, at all well-versed in contemporary literature or living writers, but certainly my favorite living writer is John Crowley, who wrote Little Big, which may be my favorite book ever. And he also wrote Ka, which is on the shelf somewhere behind me. Yeah, it's this green book right here. There. Which I will be doing a read-along probably at some point early next year with Tom LA Books, so kind of stay tuned for that. But John Crowley, I cannot say enough about this writer. I feel like he is criminally underrated. I've said this many times on my channel, so I won't stress it too much here, but certainly please check out John Crowley. And then finally, 1001 Activities. Do you have a favorite outdoor activity? I try to get several walks in, long walks, every week. It'd be nice if I could do it every day, but with my schedule at work, that doesn't really work out. So really just walks, strolling, without a set destination is kind of my favorite outdoor activity. I do like hiking, but I feel like when you hike with certain people, they hike with a real sense of purpose, which is not really. I'm a meanderer. I like to stroll. I'm not really a competitive walker. So hiking is good if I'm doing it without like an end goal, I guess. But yeah, so just walking, as boring as that is. And that's it. It's the 1001 Books tag. I will end by tagging. It seems like everyone in the world has either done this or been tagged. I'm going to tag Tom at LA Books. I have a hard time believing he hasn't already been tagged by someone, but Tom, if you're watching and you haven't been tagged and feel like doing this, go for it. And anyone else who wants to do it, of course, feel free. But yes, thank you for watching. Have a good day.